minutes past the hour here on NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And holy crap, the Niners got completely and utterly annihilated in Buffalo in the snow with a final score of 35-10. Boy, it was a rough watch, I'll tell you that. Nothing went their way, but everything went the way of the Buffalo Bills. Let's start with the quarterback position. Brock Purdy came back from injury. He was 11 for 18 for 94 yards. No touchdown, no picks, but 94 yards. Now, this was not really a heavily throwing game. Going to be a lot of running, and the Bills were ready for that as James Cook ran for 107 yards and a touchdown. He was averaging 7.6 a run. That's awful. Absolutely awful. And Brock Purdy, 94 yards. He looked tentative. He looked scared. He kept pumping the ball and just not letting it rip. And I don't know what was going on with Brock Purdy. Did not have a good game. Did not have a good game. Christian McCaffrey, 7 rushes for 53 yards, and he was having a great game. He looked fast. He looked elusive. He was running at a different speed compared to everybody else. But unfortunately, he went and got himself hurt. He has a PCL injury, and he'll be out 6 weeks. Likely ending his season for the 49ers, as their chances of making the postseason are slim to none, as they drop to 5-7. To even say that is ridiculous. Jordan Mason, he had 13 rushes for 78 yards. He also suffered an injury, high ankle sprain. He goes on IR, out at least 4 weeks. So now your number 1 and your number 2 running backs are on the shelf. And so now you're down to just Isaac Guerendo, and a running back they claimed off waivers, Israel Akuna Matata, whatever the fuck his name is. Now this is a fast guy. He's super fast. So we have 2 speedy running backs. And this is a guy that a lot of people wanted the Niners to draft. So we'll see what Israel brings to the running back room. But going back to Sunday night, on national television, the Niners were thoroughly embarrassed for the second week in a row. They embarrassed themselves against Seattle. Got embarrassed the next week against the Packers. And then this week it got even worse. 35-10. They dropped to 5-7. Not much to say stat-wise. Juwan Jennings had 3 catches for 56 yards. Deebo Samuel, 4 catches for 20 yards. Like I said, this was not a huge throwing game. Although Josh Allen was 13-17 for 148 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown as well, and he ran for 18 yards. This was a game that really showed you a lot about the quarterback position. Because it makes you wonder, Brock Purdy is supposed to be getting this big contract coming up at the end of the year. Everyone was saying, oh, he's going to get like $60 million a year, $60 million. But here's my question is that is what you pay superstar quarterbacks. Now, I'm a Brock Purdy fan. I like Brock Purdy a lot. I'm a huge fan of him. And it hurts me to say this, but Brock Purdy is not an elite quarterback. He has the intangibles. He has the mental processing, the mental capacity of an elite quarterback. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's a damn good quarterback. But is he at the elite level? No. He's not the Josh Allen. So there's the elite class. There's like Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Elite. Absolutely elite. The moment's never too big for them. They have amazing arms, amazing talent, amazing athletic ability. I don't think Brock Purdy falls into one of those categories. I don't think Brock Purdy is in that elite status with a Josh Allen, with a Pat Mahomes. I don't. And like I said, I'm a huge Brock Purdy fan. But he falls down. I would say he's a top 10 quarterback based on his stats. So now the question is, do you pay Brock Purdy this ginormous contract, this $60 million a year contract? I think based on how this season ends and what we've seen so far this season, I think that Brock Purdy is probably going to get a contract around $35 to $45 million a year. And I think that basically they're going to lowball him, which he'll probably deny it. He won't accept that offer. And I think that he'll play on his fourth year. Because at the end of the day, you can always franchise him. Yes, it's a direct hit to the cap, but you have options with Brock Purdy. And you have to find out, is this the guy you want to sink a lot of money into? Because at this point, based on how he's playing, based on the skill sets that he has, I think that he's Baker Mayfield money, $45 million. And that's the most I want to offer him at this point. I love having him on the team. I think he processes the offense really well. But this year, he is not hitting the reads like he was last year. This year's been a mess on all phases of the game. Special teams, defense, and offense as well. So it's not just Brock. It's not all on Brock. But I think here you saw a clear line drawn in the snow between elite level quarterback and Josh Allen and really good starting quarterback play in Brock Purdy. Now, granted, Josh Allen's been in the league longer than Brock. He's got more experience. But the numbers don't lie, and the skill sets don't lie as well. And I think that, look, do I keep Brock Purdy around for the future? Yeah, I do. I just don't think it's at $60 million. That's outrageous money for a guy who doesn't have the big arm. Is he accurate? He's been accurate in the past. Not really so much this year. He has good scrambling ability, and he can process the offense and process his reads better than a lot of young and up-and-coming quarterbacks. So I think Brock Purdy is a really, really good quarterback, but he's not at the elite level. He's not at the superhero level of quarterbacks. You know, when you think of superheroes, you think of Batman, Superman, Captain America. Those are the elite level. Brock's just below that. Brock's more like a Gambit. You know, a Nightwing. Really good. Love to have him as your leader, but he's not an elite superstar talent. So that's why I don't think you give him that big $60 million contract, because I think if that's what he's demanding, then you need to let him play out his fourth year and prove that he can have more than one really good season or one season and a half that's really good. So, tough loss. The Niners were without Nick Bosa, who has an oblique strain. They were without, obviously, Brandon Ayuk is out for the year. They were without Trent Williams. And really sad story with Trent Williams. I mean, my God. The man lost twins. He lost one of them while his wife was still pregnant. And then he lost another one when they gave birth. Either way, it's a depressing, horrible story, and my heart goes out to Trent Williams and his family. This is the second player on the Niners who has lost a child. Obviously, the first was Charvarius Ward. He's losing his 1-year-old daughter. And now you have, Trent Williams losing twins. It's just heartbreaking to hear this kind of information. Hear this kind of news. My heart goes out to them. Thoughts and prayers go out to them as well. Just horrible news to hear. And so this season has been a struggle. Struggle bus is real for the Niners this season. Obviously, you had the Christian McCaffrey injury, where he missed the first 9 weeks. Now he'll miss the rest of the season. Now you got the Mason injury. You had the Jake Moody injury. Well, I'm on the fence with Jake Moody. He's got a strong leg, but man, that guy's not accurate whatsoever. Just ridiculous. Now you got Nick Bosa down. Leonard Floyd averaging 10 sacks a season. He can barely push 6. Leonard Floyd and Nick Bosa are playing more snaps than they have in the past 2 seasons, and it shows. They're not getting it done. They're playing them too much. The depth at defensive end is not there, and that's something that they have to fix next year. Javon Hargrave out for the year. He is a cut candidate. I would cut him and save the money that you're going to pay him because he has not produced on that massive contract that he signed a couple years ago. He's not produced. It's just unbelievable. Nothing went right for the Niners. Defensively, they could not stop the run whatsoever. Let's talk about that. How do you allow Buffalo to run all over you and you still have 2 high safeties? You should be stuffing the box. Yes, it's Josh Allen, but no one's burning you over the top. They can't run in the snow. So if Josh Allen has to be the one that burns you over the air, one of your best attributes as a defense is your secondary. Yes, you're down Diamond Lenore, but you got Renardo Green and you got back Charvarius Ward. Utilize that. Stuff the box. Don't let them run the ball on you. At the very least, single high safety. No, they had 2 high safeties, and James Cook ran for 107 yards. Unbelievable. Nick Sorensen should be fired. His defense has been a joke. But let's look at the stats. The defensive rankings for Nick Sorensen and the Niners defense. They're 4th in passing yards. Okay. 5th in total yards given up. It's not bad. 11th in turnovers. 11th in passing TDs. So already the secondary is doing good. Rushing yards. They're 15th. They're 15th in allowing rushing yards. 16th in 4th downs. 24th in points. 26th in 3rd down defense. That's not winning a championship. That's getting knocked out and not even making the playoffs. They are 28th in 4th quarter scoring. They're one of the worst defenses in the 4th quarter. And I think that is a lack of depth that is hurting this pass rush, this defensive line, these linebackers. 31st in rushing TDs. Unbelievable. 31st in red zone defense. Holy shit. I mean, come on. If Nick Sorensen doesn't get fired this year, I don't know what. I'm going to flip the fuck out. I cannot stand it anymore. They have to get rid of Sorensen. There's too much talent on this team to not win. Look at these numbers. These are updated 49ers PFF positional rankings on the season, courtesy of Mr. John Chapman. Check him out on social media, X, Instagram. He's a winner, John Chapman. We're talking about positional rankings on the season. Tight end, number 1, George Kittle. 2nd is Fred Warner at linebacker. Kyle Juszczyk, 2nd at fullback. Fuck him. The hell with Kyle Juszczyk. I'm done with the juice. This is his final year. He needs to go. Trent Williams, 6th. Nick Bosa, 6th. Dominic Pooney, 8th. That's at right guard. Juwan Jennings, 9th. Brock Purdy, 12th. No other player in this team. And there's no other player in the top 20. So. But when you have this many talented players on your team, not to mention you got the likes of Deebo Samuel, you have Diamond Lenore, you have all this talent everywhere, but you can't put it together. It's just shameful. It's bad coaching. And it's the one thing the Niners haven't done a very good job at. You look at these other franchises like the Chiefs. No one's leaving. All the coaches stay there. But our coaches are leaving. The Niners need to pay more when it comes to the coaching staff. It doesn't come out of your salary cap. It's not a hit on the salary cap. You can pay the coaches whatever you want to. The Niners need to invest in elite coaching because that's what they haven't done. They lost Robert Saleh. They lost D'Amico Ryans. They keep losing executives and not replacing them with anybody. It's just a mess. I mean, when you look at Nick Sorensen, he was their third selection? They tried to go for Nick or Steve Spagnuolo. Chiefs paid him more money. He stayed. They tried to go for Bill Belichick. He wants to do broadcasting. He'll make more money there. Then they interviewed their entire coaching staff and chose Nick Sorensen, an inexperienced assistant coach who's now their defensive coordinator and looks like the most vanilla defense I've ever seen in my life. This defense has no drive. This defense has no passion. They're literally getting ran over every single time they go out in the field. Fred Warner is playing with a fractured ankle because he knows if he's not out there, this team is going to fail. He was doing everything the first 4 weeks. Then he fractured the ankle against the Patriots, and he hasn't been the same since. But imagine if he wasn't out there this entire season. It'd be ugly. Devondre Campbell, bad signing. Has he had some good games? Yeah, he did. He's had some good games. The Cowboy game was a good game. And he played good against Seattle. But the problem is that the guy is horrible in pass coverage. He's slow. He can't change direction. I understand he was a stopgap, but if you knew that Dre Greenlaw wasn't going to come back until late in the year, was he really the stopgap between, the beginning of the season and when you're going to get Dre Greenlaw back? No. The guy was washed up. There's a reason why the Packers didn't bring him back. There's a reason. And it's unbelievable what they've done. It's sad, really. It really is. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, what is happening to the 49ers? Just absolutely ugly. And now they sit at 5-7. And the only way they can make the playoffs, we're talking about playoffs. Even if this team was able to squeak its way into the playoffs, they'd get shellacked in the first round. I don't see them advancing in the playoffs. I don't see them getting the Super Bowl, let alone winning a Super Bowl. No. You think this defense can stop Lamar Jackson? It obviously couldn't stop Josh Allen. Pat Mahomes? No. No, this is just not the year for the Niners. Now, look, if they get to the playoffs, I'll be rooting for them, obviously. I root for them every week. But it's so frustrating to watch this team struggle week in and week out on just the basic fundamentals of the game. It's just not good. It's not good. And I don't know what they can do to really shore things up. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to watch a little bit of the post-game press conference. This is public video, public information. So Kyle Shanahan was asked about the Christian McCaffrey injury after looking amazing before he injured himself. And here's what he had to say. Let's go ahead and bring this up. And here we go.
Does this sort of capture the frustration of the season in a sense? I mean, Christian was running like himself again. Those 6 plays.
Yeah, it was frustrating. He had a great week of practice, and I could feel his urgency and stuff, and thought he came out great, looking real good. And it looked like he just got his shoestring there. He's about to break a house call, and I'm guessing he got hurt on that play. I don't know. I never got to talk to him, but hurt for him and tough for our team not having him.
Just not good. And he was having a great game. I mean, the guy was balling out there. Shanahan was also asked about this team, and does this team have any fight left? And I think this is a really important, this was a big statement by Kyle Shanahan because he was being very honest about his team. He understands now that this season is probably over. So now it's time just to kind of be honest about the current state of the Niners. Here's what Kyle Shanahan had to say.
I mean, I think we're not as good of a team as those past teams.
That's big right there.
So that's kind of how I look at it. We're not the same team at all. Every team each year is different. But I'm not going to say that this team is the same as last year's team. We're just not fighting as hard. We got a bunch of different guys out there. We've been trying to find our way since the beginning. Haven't quite found that yet. There's still a lot of season left, and we expect to play better. But I'm not going to say that our team doesn't have fight.
This team is not as good as previous teams. It's not. And he acknowledged that. He's like, look, we're not as good. Basically, we're not as good as we were last year and the year before. We're not. And, he wasn't trying to sugarcoat it at all. And it just sucks to hear that because as a Niner fan, you want this team to succeed. But we have a lot of frustrated players, I should say. George Kittle sounded off. And here's what he had to say.
George, you got a pass on the first play.
I did.
And you didn't catch another pass the remainder.
I did not.
Well, any explanation on why you did not?
No, I do not have an explanation. I think I ran like 6 more routes the rest of the day. Could be a combination of that, but no idea.
No, they were doing to you.
Oh goodness gracious, no. No, I didn't feel that. I felt pretty open multiple times. It is what it is.
It is what it is. He's frustrated. You have the best tight end in the league right now, and you're not throwing him the ball in a snow game. Unbelievable. This offense has been so discombobulated this year with all this talent. So incredibly frustrating. What about Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy made this comment talking about the mindset over the next 5 games. Here's what Brock had to say.
Sure. I mean, every game's got to be must win for us. We don't have any room clearly if we want to make the playoffs and get ahead and do the thing that we've set out to do before the season, man. Every win's got to be a must win. And so that's plain as day. And we all know that. So like I said, we all just got to be accountable and grow from it. And, we don't have a lot of room for error right now. We got to go. So sure. I mean,
yeah, we got to go. We got to go. But they're not making it happen. You can't win a game throwing for 94 yards. Just tough to watch. Just absolutely tough to watch. And Brock yet says, look, it's a must win every week. The Niners have been there before, and that usually doesn't work out for them. This is a team that's got problems, inefficiencies, injuries. To me, the thought of playoffs is just absolutely absurd at this point. Even if you made the playoffs, do you really think that you're going to make it past the first round? Do you think that we can make it to the Super Bowl? That we can win the Super Bowl? No, I don't think we can. Based on the way they're playing. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I just don't see it. I don't. Love Brock Purdy. Not giving him a $60 million contract. I'm not. Just not doing it. I'm giving him low ball Baker Mayfield money. And see if he bites. Because it's not worth it. They need to figure something out fast because this season is ending rapidly as they sit at 5-7. Just a tough game to watch, tough season to watch for the 49ers. A season in which we were favorites to win the Super Bowl going into the year. Only to be a team that may not even make the playoffs. A team that is 1 game better than the Chicago Bears. Better than the Chicago Bears. 1 game. That's it. Adam Karnick of Chi-Town Weekly will be joining us in a few minutes to talk about Bears and Niners matchup coming up this Sunday. Can't wait to talk to him about that. But at the end of the day, the Niners need to figure it out. And I think they need to start holding people more accountable. And I think that Brian Schneider, their special teams head coach, he needs to be fired. They likely won't fire anybody until the end of the season, but they need to fire him and they need to fire Nick Sorensen. He's not the answer as your defensive coordinator. Not at all. And you need to invest money in better coaching, better quality coaching. I mean, you're hoping to win a Super Bowl with a first-time defensive coordinator. This is your window, and that's what you went with. I don't even know what Brandon Staley's doing there. He's the defensive consultant. They've looked terrible on defense. Does Brandon Staley need to take over as a D coordinator? Maybe he does. But this is supposed to be a Brandon Staley, Nick Sorensen tag team on defense. And it's looked like a complete shit show on defense. They react slow, don't make proper adjustments. It's just not good. It's not good. Guys, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Adam Karnick on the show, host of Chi-Town Weekly, talking about Niners versus Bears. You're listening to NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.